So, with the reveal of Infinite Warfare and my upcoming 18th birthday, I can't help but reflect on the games and the aspects of Call of Duty and gaming that I loved as a kid and I still love as a teenager and a young adult. Um, and I think the past week has brought on a lot of introspective thought and some reflection on my childhood, my past, my addictions, my friends that I've lost and that I've gained, and my accomplishments as a kid. And I'm not excited to grow up. I can't say that I am. I'm not really, and I'm not looking forward to the stresses and the responsibilities that come with growing up and moving on into the real world. That's why college is so special because in a way it actually allows you to avoid reality for 4 additional years, but it gives you a lot of insight and experience with moving into the real world. Owning property, meeting friends, working on a much higher level of intellect and responsibility than high school, middle school, elementary school. These things are all part of a general chain of life per se that we follow as kids, adults, elderly. There's a path we take, and everyone approaches that path and those transitions differently. Personally, I'm a lot more nostalgic. I'm kind of a stuck in the past type guy, and it's hard for me to move on from one thing to the other, to forget about things, to lose those passions, to break those addictions. And instead of trying to fight it off and force myself out of these things, I kind of embrace it. And that's why I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit more of my insight and input for the future of Call of Duty, Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare Remastered. But this video in particular is going to focus on the potential of adding not just Call of Duty 4 to the remaster, but also Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. All leaks and speculations and rumors lead towards Modern Warfare Remastered being just simply COD 4, and that's it. 10 multiplayer maps, one campaign, and you're done. If you want boots on the ground, you could pay 30 to 40 bucks, get that remastered game, shut up, and move on. Live with it. You're going to get one game, half functionality, and that's all we're going to give you. Otherwise, you're on Infinite Warfare in space, doing our thing in the future. So, they're giving us options, but they're not giving us, in my opinion, enough options for the boots on the ground lovers and the futuristic lovers. Personally, I love the futuristic setting. I love AW. I love Black Ops 3 sometimes. And I just generally do prefer that futuristic setting. I'm not nostalgic in the sense that I'm stuck in the past with the old Call of Duties. Although my favorite previous gen Call of Duty is Modern Warfare 3. And that, again, is going to be very controversial. People don't like MW3. People don't like Advanced Warfare. People don't like Ghosts. But those are three games that I think were very strong and very fun to play and had their own interesting adaptations to introduce into the franchise that I think were very underrated or overall just hated because of, bandwagon mentality and just these stupid rumors and YouTube videos and trends. And so I'm going to give MW3 one last blink of hope. So my input, my personal thoughts. I'm going to introduce my thoughts on how we can perfect MW3 and the potential of it being added into the remastered title this year. I do not see them just kind of stopping with COD 4 and that's it. I think there's a lot more to it, and I just think it's a very viable option for them to include the other two games in the Modern Warfare saga in order to provide that full picture, that full story, in order to help people make sense of the story if they haven't been on board with Modern Warfare since the very beginning. On that note, instead of making a big 40-minute commentary on how we can fix COD 4 and MW2, I'm going to focus specifically on my favorite game in the saga, MW3, in case they do happen to add it in other games to what I hope to become the Modern Warfare collection and not just COD 4 Remastered. So here we go. We're going to start off with death streaks. First of all, they need to go. No more martyrdom, no more dropping grenades when you die, no more last stand. Fuck you, last stand! Absolutely no more dead man's hand, which is the one where you would go down with the C4 in your hand and blow up. That was commonly referred to as dead man's nuke. It was so powerful, even more so than the C4 itself was. No more revenge. Revenge is kind of a weird one. You could see your killer on the map when you respawn. Imagine how annoying that would be, especially in the next gen community, if you were on a streak and some guy had revenge and just mowed you down, even if you had Ghost or Cold-Blooded on. Hollow Points was interesting. It gave you more damage when you spawned for a very brief period of time. That's okay, but it could be very overpowered and abused if it was, used at the wrong time, or if you got in a very bad spawn point, it would not work well. And finally, Juiced. Juiced was okay because Juiced only gave you an increased run speed, which really didn't give you much of an advantage. So, if you had to include death streaks to kind of keep the classic feel of the game, which I don't know why you would want to, I guess just add Juiced as a fun little add-on, but do not add any of the other ones. On to weapon balancing. The weapons were actually a lot of fun in this game. They were very balanced overall. I was actually very impressed. That's why I like the game so much. Only thing I would say is, as a longtime player from day one of MW3, please do not bring back the pre-patch Type 95. That was a one burst kill piece of shit that does not need to come back. Please, just kill the Type 95, please. The PM9 needs a buff because PM9 was kind of It never had its strong point in the flow of MW3. The ACR and MP7 were very iconic guns that I don't think should be destroyed or nerfed heavily, but just adjust the rate of fire or accuracy very slightly to just improve the balance. But don't ruin them because, to be honest, at this point, if you ruin the MP7 or ACR, you are going to lose most of the fan base. That's just me putting that out there. As far as snipers go, I'm very biased against snipers in Call of Duty. I don't think they belong in Call of Duty. I hate all snipers in Call of Duty, except for a couple ones like the RSAS and MW3, which is kind of more of a skill-based. It was a semi-auto, weaker sniper. Those are fun because they're not insta-kills and not very annoying. They don't ruin the flow of a very fast-paced game. And just the general color palette of some maps and some of the camping spots, the high grass in MW3, really just made the MSR and sometimes the Dragunov and the AS50 very annoying. And I'm not gonna say much about them, but just please take it easy with the one-shot kill potential and the hitboxes and the overall performance of the sniper rifle's rate of fire, because that is just stress that many players don't want and don't prefer. But let the MLG trick shotters hate and the montage editors cry. I don't care. I'm a hater. So be it. On to the next topic. MW3's shotguns were fun and reasonable. The KSG and USAS 12 were my personal favorites as they required far more precision and consistency and reflex in order to perform at their max potential. Other shotties like the Spaz and the Strikers got really annoying at times, but don't require much reworking in the remaster to maintain, in my opinion, the overall flow and balance. Overall, the pistols are pretty manageable. The Desert Eagle, I think, does need a buff. The Glock 11 does need a reduction in recoil to help bring it up to par with other weapons in the class. And let's just keep in mind the MP9 fully auto pistol is a little bit powerful, so you might want to consider either the damage or a reduction in accuracy. Just my opinion. The introduction of weapon proficiencies for all classes of weapons was so much fun. They really did add to the replayability, the customization, the gunplay factor, and it just made things a lot more fun and interesting. So please don't remove these, don't change them. If you guys don't remember, this included things like 2 attachments, kick, focus, melee, damage on shotguns, range on shotguns. So pretty fun stuff. It did add to the weapon variety, very much so like the current day like weapon variants do, but just not in such a crazy way. It was a lot more subtle and a lot of fun. So please do not get rid of those proficiencies. I strongly believe that pro perks need to return. These things not only encourage you to utilize the perks that you chose, but they rewarded you if you stuck with them and maxed them out over a certain period of time. And the incentives you earn from maxing out your perks or making them pro, as they called it, help maintain the game's replayability factor once again, but they also led to generally a higher player retention rate, and overall they just helped keep things fresh, which is always a good thing. Point streaks were extremely fun, especially since they encouraged objective and team play for the first time. They were kind of goofy. Some of them, like the Assault Drone and the Juggernaut suit, were a lot of fun to use. I personally enjoyed those. I do think the Juggernaut suit does need to see a reduction in health. As hypocritical as that sounds, many people would agree that it got very annoying to have that one guy running around in his assault suit the entire time with the PKP Peshnag, or the support suit all the game with the pistol, the USP, and just mow you down when you had almost no chance of killing them yourselves, unless you got them trapped in the corner, or you glitched them out, or you hit them with an explosive or a predator missile. They're very hard to kill, and I just think they need to be balanced in some way in order to make them more reasonable to kill, and still as equally fun to kill with. Overall, I love the introduction of the multi-tier point streak system in which you had Assault, you had Support, and you had Specialist. I think Assault was actually very well made and very well balanced. The Support class was interesting. It was a lot of fun, and it did cater to those who could not necessarily pull off those high chain kill streaks. I didn't have a problem personally with the Ballistic Vest UAV combination in Hardcore, or just generally spamming those lower tier streaks. I did have a big problem with the Stealth Bombers. They were lethal after they promised to have only non-lethal streaks in that class. So you can kind of go one of 3 ways. Take it out of the game, move it towards the assault streak category, or make it a very, very, very high support streak for those who work very hard for it in one game. At most, only give it to them in one match, one time. And apart from that, just leave it alone or completely demolish the idea. Next up, I think the Specialist category was absolutely perfect. It allowed you to earn more perks of your choice as you continued along in the kill streak, and once you reached a certain threshold of kills, you receive a specialist bonus in which you'll be rewarded every single perk in the game, every proficiency, and it just made you into a complete super soldier. It wasn't overpowered. It did require a lot of skill and consistency, and that is one of the few ideas I think needs to make a return in all its glory, completely unfazed. Next up, the Moab, the MOB, the MOAB, the mother of all bombs, the nuke of MW3 needs to come back. I was so addicted to getting these things back in the day, and the sheer feeling of achievement that I got after getting one was just has remained unmatched to any of the half-assed ripoffs that we've gotten in Ghosts and AW. No Chem Strike and no DNA Bomb will ever stand a chance compared to the nuke or the Moab. Overall, it made the game so competitive, so much fun, and it really aided the player retention rate throughout the remainder of 2012 before Black Ops 2 was released. So it really does make the game a lot more fun. Infinity Ward, just making that clear, I love the Moab. And yes, I do call it the MOB. On to the next point. My final point for today is that the maps in this game were simply amazing. They were fun, they were memorable, they were small, medium, large, great variety, very gritty, war-like, very competitive, had some great choke points, 3-lane design, excellent. And my only suggestion here is that the darker and sometimes green tinted maps like Bakara and Arcade and my favorite maps should receive a color and lighting update. That's about it. Otherwise, stick to your guns, keep them the same, maintain your classic Infinity Ward layouts, and just make them fun to play. Alright guys, that about wraps it up for today. I think despite some controversy in the community, I feel that MW3 is one of the strongest adaptations of the Modern Warfare saga. It left me with the passion for Call of Duty that continues to live on to this day, and I want to thank Infinity Ward for all their hard work. This was also Sledgehammer Games' first game, so it's kind of ironic that I like both of their games so far. I really hope to see MW3 and maybe the other games, MW2 and COD 4, all make a return in the remastered title. I wish Infinity Ward all the best in their upcoming endeavors, their trailers, their releases, their reveals, the viral campaigns. I know you guys are going to kill it this year, so please just keep it up, do your best, be you, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. And as always, take it easy.